The Xigmatek Nebula was one of the first cases I reviewed. It was new, different, small, and for an aluminum case it was fairly well priced. Today I'm showing you the new nebula-c. Instead of focusing on the enthusiast ITX crowd, the new focus is on affordable PCs for customers who want to have a good looking PC for the living room and the bedroom. The case no longer comes in a fancy printed box. We get boring brown cardboard now. The accessories are still the same: a couple screws, a USB 3 to USB 2 header, and a couple of zip ties. The first difference you'll notice between the original Nebula and the C version is the price tag. At 55 euros, the C version is 25 euros easier on the wallet. However, some e-tailers discount that original Nebula to only 70 euros instead of 80. At that point, you should really buy the original version. I didn't really research this case before buying, and I thought the only difference was that the pedals tool was gone and they changed the color to white. The sides are still matte and the top is still very shiny and reflective. We still get the front left bottom corner chamfered. This one has a nice orange glow to it. On the right side there's the I/O. The audio jacks are sandwiched in between two USB 3.0 ports. On the shiny top we find a gorgeous orange surrounded power button with a very nice texture to it, making it one of my favorite power buttons. The back of the case is black. It has room for an ATX power supply of almost unlimited length. There's a 120mm Xigmatek fan which has to take care of all the cooling on its own. The cable of this fan isn't black nor braided. Luckily, the color isn't some retirement home beige like with some fans. Underneath the fan are two PCI slots for graphics cards up to 230mm, a nice improvement over the original Nebula. The case is still 26cm wide and deep. Xigmatek changed the shape of the light so it now doubles as a GPU support and allows for slightly longer graphics cards. A very nice feature. Returning to the back, there are now two holes for external water cooling, but I still don't know why anyone would ever do that. Stripping the case down is completely toolless. You start by taking the side panels off by pulling them. The panels are held in place by replaceable plastic tabs. Now some people don't like this way, but I do, and with the sides gone you can pull the front away, which is also secured by these tabs. What I'm about to say isn't necessarily a negative, but when the original case can be had for only 50 euros more, it does make you reconsider if you bought the right version. Instead of the aluminum panels, we now get light plastic waffle panels. I really think they shouldn't have done that. With these plastic bits off, we can see that the top is supported by 3 steel pillars. These pillars also have zip tie hooks and support the power supply. We now also see that all the other cables are nice and black instead of the overtly German cable on the fan. The hard drives are hung from the top, but sadly the caddy can't easily be removed. However, hard drive installation is toolless, and even though there's room for an extra SSD underneath, which doesn't even stress the connector cables, you also get a 3.5" to 2.5" adapter. Now this case is 305mm high, and there was clearly room for a 3+1 instead of a 2+1 drive system. But I think 2 hard drives and an SSD is probably enough for most people. The bottom of the case is completely ventilated. It's also the only air intake for the entire PC, and no one bothered putting a dust filter on it. The case also sits only 7mm off the floor on 4 little rubber feet. So for the love of the hardware god, don't put this PC on a carpet or you'll just be choking that gorgeous PC. Building in the Nebula isn't very hard. You just pre-assemble the motherboard and the memory and the CPU, making sure your cooler isn't higher than 80mm. Now liquid cooling could be an option, but only if you remove the hard drive cage and put an SSD somewhere else. Both the power supply and the GPU slide in from the front, and after that you just drop the drives in, clean up the cable mess as well as you possibly can to get some sort of airflow going, and then you just close the case back up. With the Nebula you have to choose your components very wisely, not because of the limited space, because you can still put a 4790K and a GTX 970 in there, but keeping them cool is something completely different. The GPU sits right against the left side panel and the CPU is covered by the hard drive cage on top and the power supply on the other side. However, this is more of a HD PC or a desktop for some light gaming, so anyone looking at this case as a potential powerhouse should probably go visit a doctor. In the end, the big question as always is whether you should buy it or not. And unless you want really high performance, I really think you should. Even with the plastic bits and the loss of the pedestal, the Nebula-c is still quite a looker. While filming this, my mom, the type of person who's been using the same crappy, loud, slow 15-year-old HP, came up to me saying that she liked the look of it and she actually wants me to build a PC in this case for her. So sure, it runs a little hot and the inside won't be the prettiest inside of a PC case ever. But all that doesn't matter because it's still very affordable and it looks great on the outside. So guys and moms, if you liked the video, press the like button. I'm sure all of you have subscribed already. But if you want more updates, you can also find me on Twitter. I'll link it right below in the description. And thanks for watching and leave a comment saying what you think.